Morning, everybody. Welcome to another Excitech BIM 360 surgery. This morning it is number 47, and I'm going to take a look at some of the latest sort of updates and features around model coordination and the creation of issues within that space. As usual, I'm in my 360 surgery project, and I'm going to go straight to module selector and jump straight into model coordination. So it's verifying some permissions. And I just need to change my login because I'm logged in as another user. So I'm just going to log in with my Excitech permissions. And it should all work now. Okay, so we are in the model coordination zone. So this is all sort of around clashes and what is updated around there. So I'm going to jump straight in and start looking at creating and resolving some of these clashes. So you can see I've got loads of models, loads of different views coming from IFCs and Revit. And I'm just going to filter it just to make it a little bit easier. And I'm just going to turn on mechanical and my structural models, and I'm going to apply that. So it's just a little bit easier to see, and you can see that I've got 31 clashes between the two in here. So the enhancements all sort of evolve around the creation of the issues and what we can do when we create the issues. So you will see that it's just quickly loading. And you can see, let's have a look. So we've got some clashes in here. So let's go in and have a look at this oval duct clash. You can see I'm getting clashes between this actual K series in here. So there's actually a few that I could probably do together. So you can see I've got an area there. Well, let's look at this one. Okay, so there's a decent clash. So you can see the pipe is going through the truss in this instance. So when I create the issue, so you click issue, then you place the push pin. You can see now we're into the new issue creation screen. So as always, you can give it the type. So I can say that it is a, let's say this is a clash and it's open, and you can give it a title. On the assign to tab, what we can now do is we can now assign it to a particular user. So we can always sort of do that, but now we've got role and we have company. So you can see in here, we've got all these companies. So I'm just going to assign that to the Excitech Systems company. So that means that anyone in that company will get assigned that issue. I can now give it a due date. We can also now give it location details. So if you've set this up in your project settings, you can see that I can put in and pick an actual area. So for this instance, I mean, I've not went through and put all the locations in, but you can pick your locations, and we could say in roof space, maybe give that a space. I will still remain the owner. We can also give it a root cause, so it looks as if it's a design coordination issue. What you can also now do is link it to custom attributes. So I've went into my issues and I've set up some custom attributes. So I could say I've got one for risk. So I could say, okay, that's a medium risk to me. Actually, I could go, that's a high risk. And there's a damage scale of, let's say, 20% associated. But again, these custom attributes can be whatever you want. So the high level stuff in here is we can now assign it to roles or companies. So and we can also assign it to location spaces, and then we click create, and that will then create the issue. And once it's created, it then gets assigned to the issue tab. So let's go in and have a look here. So we've got a clash between the ducting here. So again, I'm going to say that's an issue. Orbit that round, place my pin. Again, due date today, location, I'm just going to say it's the ground floor, and I'm just going to sort of pick it there. Root cause seems to be design, and a damage scale of 10. Risk is high, and then we create. We've got some clashes here with the wall. So again, I'm just going to create that so that we've got a clash here, place my pin, and again, same principle. We give it a due date, we assign it to, this time we're going to go, again, it needs to go to the Excitech Systems team, ground floor, root causes, damage scale, and then a risk of high. So we can just put a lot more detail into the issues now when we create them. Okay, so by having that custom attribute then, and with the locations, once we come out of the clash zone, we can go in and look at the assigned clashes. Because we're putting a lot more information into these areas, we can start to control and filter these clashes. So if we come back out into document management and have a look at these coordinated issues, we can start to use the filtering tool. So if we just look at the issues in here, you will see that all the new issues are now appearing. But if I want to work and just go filter, and then because I've got all the new things, I can now filter based upon who it's assigned to. So I can say, well, show me anything that's assigned to Excitech Systems. You can choose all these different type of information. So you can see companies, we can go due date, let's say what's due today. You can see it will filter it that way. And you can also then, if we clear this, because we've got the filtering on the custom, so we could say, well, what's the risk? And then we can show me the high risk items, and you can see they're all showing in there. So what's also been happening is that they've introduced the push pin snapshot. So every time we place the issue, BIM 360 is grabbing that screenshot. So when we're going to look at the issue, you will see under attachments, we now have the actual physical screenshot of that particular issue. And that is twofold. Obviously, we can see it in here. We can see the exact area of the clash. But when we go to produce some reports, that will also then start to show. So if I go into Insight, so as a project admin, I've got access to the Insight in this module, and we can run a report on the issues. And when we run the report, so we go into here, we go to reports, and hopefully I do this correctly. So I go to create a report, and we go field management, and we go with issue detail, and we go select. And because we've got all these new things within the issues, we can also use them within here. So I'm going to sort by, let's say, due date. And I want to go created today. And we could go assigned to. So because we're assigning it to Excitech Systems, and we could go run now. So fingers crossed I've done this correctly. So this will run, and you'll see it's being generated. Now, it shouldn't take a huge amount of time because it's a relatively small report. And what we will now see is the issue report will have them push pin thumbnails associated. So let's just let it run. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So just to recap while that is running. So when we create the issue, we can now do and assign it to roles and companies, which is pretty good. We can filter in the custom attributes when we're assigning the issue, and it will also then allow you to pick the location details. And that obviously then when you're going to start looking at the issues, if you've got hundreds and thousands of issues, the filtering then becomes way easier to control and manage. So hopefully this just doesn't take a huge amount of time. What will happen is I will get an email notification to say that I've now got this report. But again, we're at the mercy of BIM 360. Usually it takes a minute or two, not a huge amount of time. And the report has been generated successfully. We should click the three dots, then we will be able to download. And if we've done it correctly, which I haven't, I've got no items in the report. So let's quickly do that again. So let's run that again. Just sign in and hopefully I pick the correct items. I probably didn't filter it by company correctly. So let's run a report. Let's just say created today, and we'll run that just with a very simple. So we can expire that report. So fingers crossed this shows it correctly. If not, you get the idea, I suppose, that the thumbnails or the pushpin thumbnails will appear in your report. So it allows you to complete a sort of clash report in a much more compelling manner automatically. You could have this scheduled as well. You could have it created that it looks for particular types, sets on a run date, and then it goes to whichever member that you want that you could run it to. So as I said, fingers crossed this works this time. And fingers crossed this has worked. So we download our report. And we've got 3 items in it. So we scroll down the list and you now see that we have our photos automatically attached. So that's pretty much it. Finally, it worked. Apologies for that. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to join me again next week for surgery number 48. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sun in the UK if you're there, and stay safe.